This is something you and I talk about a lot, but you can always go back to college. The college is always going to be there. They will always take your money. Your child does not have to buy a degree right out of the gate. In fact, I don't think that anyone should. I'm to the point now where I even think if you're sure you want to be a heart surgeon, you should still be waiting until you're 25, until your brain is fully formed to do that.
Aloha, folks. In this episode of Degree Free Podcast, after we tell you about our amazing studio upgrade of our chairs, we get into one of the most frequently asked questions that we get all the time, which is, my child is blank. How do I find them a job that is in blank? For this week, we talk about my child is creative and how do I find them a job in a creative field. And we talk about why that's the wrong question to ask and how you can start asking the right questions to get there.
Ryan also makes a correction of himself 2 years ago about believing that it's actually harder to be degree free than it is to buy a college degree. We talk about the pros and the strengths of the degree free way. And then we also talk about what we learned from Zach at the Post Office Processing Center and some information that we did not know about how the mail works.
Yeah, I think that this episode is going to be a banger. When we recorded it, I thought that this was really good, except for the drolling on at the end about the Postal Service. But if you're a nerd like us, you're going to definitely want to listen to the end. And I hope you enjoy it. Aloha, folks. Welcome back to Degree Free. I'm Ryan. She's Hannah. We are feeling great today because we had a very noticeable change in our studio situation. And you can't see it on the video or probably hear it in the audio at all. But it has been a major quality of life improvement for the both of us. We had these Walmart chairs that I think it cost us like $40 each per chair when we first moved away from Hawaii to Texas. And we just didn't have a lot of furniture. We also didn't have a lot of money.
We still don't have a lot of furniture, to be clear.
Yeah. And so we bought what we could afford, and they were like $40 Walmart chairs that were literally the most uncomfortable.
I feel like they have caused health issues because due to the level of discomfort.
You guys at home, you guys can't see it or hear it because we edited a lot of it out. But a lot of times Hannah is just like fidgeting in her chair or she's slumped over.
I look like there's something wrong with me, and there was. It was a $40 Walmart chair. You guys, I swear I can sit up straight.
Yeah, it is literally the most uncomfortable chair. But we toughed through for like 3 years on those chairs because we just couldn't afford or we didn't want to spend whatever it was.
So
I didn't. I'm so Chinese. I am, and that's like not a racist thing, but like
you literally is
yeah, I am Chinese, and I was like,
oh,
no, it's fine. I mean, how often are we really in the studio anyway? Like, I don't even get it. No,
I can't sit in these chairs.
Okay, maximum
like 10 hours a week.
Let's just say that we record once or twice a week, and maximum we're in there for an hour and a half.
Just sit in it.
Just sit in it. Like, I don't understand. And finally, I caved.
Saner heads have prevailed.
Totally. And it was a big unlock for the both of us that we realized we didn't have to get the same chair.
We actually are totally two separate individuals, and we do not have to sit in the same chair. And I am so smug right now. All the smudgeness for how comfortable this chair is. It has lumbar support.
Yeah, it is a marked improvement.
Like, look how straight I'm sitting up.
In the way that we feel. And I think the quality of the episodes that are going to be coming out of this studio now. But anyway, we are very excited to be back. I think we got a banger this week. I'm pretty sure. I wanted to start with, it comes up a lot actually, and it comes up in different forms. A lot of times parents will say, my child is blank. What can they do? Hey there. I hope that you're loving this episode of the Degree Free Podcast. We spend a ton of time every week creating this content for you. So my only ask is you take a quick second to leave a review or a thumbs up on whatever platform you're on. It's one of the best and easiest ways that you can support this podcast. And this simple action can help bring more people into the Degree Free community. At Degree Free, we want to help as many people as we can thrive and succeed without needing a college degree. Your review will be a step in that direction. If you could do this small favor right now, pause this and leave a review. It would truly mean the world to us. Thank you, and back to the show. In this form, we were packing books on a live, and one of the people jumped in and asked some questions. And one of the questions was, my child is creative. What can they do?
And this is something that comes up constantly. And it's this way because of the way that we frame and add value to things in the US school system, because we want, oh, my child's creative, they're unique, they're different. And all children are. Everybody is like that. However, we need to take this all the way back, because what parents really want there is they're looking for, oh, here's this unique artistic career that your child can have and should have because they are creative. And they need to go all the way back to zero, which is, it doesn't really matter your child's characteristics. It doesn't, not yet. You can get there, but you don't start with characteristics and personality at 17 and 18 years old and pick careers based on that, because that is crazy town. Instead, you go all the way back to zero and you go back to, what kind of life do they need? What kind of life do they want to live? What do they need in order to get that life and have the life that they want? So you have to take it all the way back to your degree-free 4. And basically what those are your income needs, your schedule needs, your location needs, and your work environment needs. And they don't necessarily have to be in that order. The main thing that we're looking for here is, what does your child need? How much money do they need to make? What sort of schedule do they need to have? What sort of income do they need to make? What sort of work environment do they need to have? And what location do they need to live in? Usually, you and I say that you should really only have one need and the rest should be wants. But let's say your child has needs for all 4 of them because they have certain constraints. But the main thing is that you need to sit down with your child and figure out what they need from their work so that they can choose a work type or a job type based on their needs, not based on their personality type, because there is little to no guarantee that their needs will be met by basing their work and career choice on their personality or on a characteristic like creativity, which lots of people have and can be applied in any job.
Yeah, exactly. We've talked about it many, many times on this podcast, but it is choosing careers and jobs and career paths this way is what I believe leads to career dissatisfaction, which leads to life dissatisfaction at the end, which is, I'm a creative, I'm going to go create. I'm an artist, I'm going to go art. Well, one, what does that mean? And then you realize that when you get into the artist portion of it and you start working, you start making money, or you start not making money, whatever it is, you're gonna be like, man, this doesn't provide the income that I want. This doesn't provide the lifestyle that I want. This doesn't provide whatever it is that you didn't identify because you didn't identify your goals first. Ideally, it is one thing. And I'll tell everybody, the best way that this can look is just having one need, and it's just something super basic, like the amount of money. And it's usually, for most people that we work with, it's money, because you need a certain amount of income to live. And so if it's $60,000 a year, perfect. Awesome. There's a lot of jobs out there that can pay $60,000 a year. Now, if you start adding a whole bunch of other essential must-have, and I'm using that in air quotes for those that aren't watching YouTube, like I need to work 4 days a week, or I need to be able to only work when I have the inspiration for music, when I have the inspiration for art. That must be in my work. Talking about like work environment, I need to not be able to talk to people. I need to never talk to a soul ever. And now you're looking, okay, well, $60,000 is your income needs. And then your schedule, you need to be able to only work when you want to work, when you have the muse, when the muse is there, and then you need to never talk to anybody. Now you put all 3 of those together, that is an incredibly hard job to find now. And so the more needs you have, the less likely you are to find a career path that fits those needs.
I have such a good story about this. There is a young lady in the launch program who was in college to become a veterinarian because she likes animals. And then having realized, wait a minute, I'm actually not enjoying this. And I'm thinking about the realistic implications of how long I'm going to have to be in school and how the demands on my time are really going to not allow me to do what I want. This is her words. When we sat down for her interest inventory, she said, I really just like a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I like to have my weekends off, my holidays off, and I want to be able to get off work and go hang out with my friends and family. She has a very reasonable salary expectation. She has very reasonable goals. And she said, I really just want some cats. I really just want 2 cats. And that satisfies her desire to have animals. She really just wants pets. She doesn't want to be a veterinarian. She wants to have a very calm schedule. She wants to make $60,000 a year, and she wants to have a reasonable 9 to 5 job that allows her to live a life where she has time to do what she wants. And for her, that is a Monday through Friday 9 to 5. And so those goals are so different from my child likes animals. What can they do? And that's what happened to her, which is go be a veterinarian because you like animals. And she really does. But now with the schedule she has, with the responsible savings she'll be able to have, she can volunteer at the animal shelter if she wants to. She can start a business as a groomer if she chose to, or she can just stay at home with her cats and then go out to dinner with her family because she has the type of lifestyle that she wants, because she has the income that she wants to save responsibly and achieve financial goals she has. She has the schedule that allows her to feel relaxed and calm and balanced and healthy. She lives where she wants to live, which is near family and friends. And then she even works in the work environment she wants to, which is a calm place where she does work with other people, but she has regular hours. And that type of life, her outcome now is going to be so much better because she thought those things through, and she's only 19. So choosing her work, if my child likes animals, okay, now they have to go into an animal job, is crazy. Instead, you dial it all the way back down and you go back down to your degree-free 4 and you figure out what your child needs. And that's how you pick, especially their first job. This is something you and I talk about a lot, but you can always go back to college. The college is always going to be there. They will always take your money. Your child does not have to buy a degree right out of the gate. In fact, I don't think that anyone should. I'm to the point now where I even think if you're sure you want to be a heart surgeon, you should still be waiting until you're 25, until your brain is fully formed to do that.
So one of the things in the degree-free way, how to help your 16 to 20-year-old build the life they want, we go over all of this. We call it needs versus wants in this section. I think we're going to be changing this framework to the degree-free 4. We're kind of workshopping it right now. Those 4 things you definitely need to hammer down. But in the needs versus wants section of the degree-free way, for all of those that haven't purchased it yet, you can go to degreefree.co/book and you can pick it up there. In the needs versus wants, after those 4 aspects, money, work schedule, work environment, location, after those 4, there is a 5th thing that we say is optional. And we give major warnings about putting needs in it, and that is the type of work or industry. And that is the reason why, is because if you say, okay, I want to be a heart surgeon, well, now you are completely 100%, you've chosen your industry, you've chosen the profession, and you are boxed in to what only the heart surgeons can do, and their lifestyle, their pay scale, everything, you're locked in. And in the same vein, when you say, my child's creative, what can they do? You're choosing their industry first, and you're choosing the type of work that they should go after first, which is completely limiting. And so instead, you put some other constraints around the problem first, like their income, their location, their schedule, like their work environment. You put those constraints into the problem first, and then you can see they need $60,000 and they want remote work. In the degree-free way, like I said, we call it needs versus wants. And so you make a list of all of everything that you need. And if their job that they're looking at doesn't have that need, they don't pursue that job. Awesome. $60,000 remote work. Now, I want to do some sort of graphic design work. Easy. You can go in graphic design or anything that touches graphic design. But now that you've had those 2 constraints, it is much more helpful.
Yeah, now you're not just going, okay, well, I want to go into something artistic. Let me go be a muralist because that's all you can think of. And now you're constrained by the income that muralists make and where they can work. So instead, you basically just flip the entire process on its head. Don't do it the way that we do it now because it doesn't have a good result. And like you said, it results in people not being satisfied with their lives, feeling very trapped by the work that they're in, and having spent a ton of time and money in order to be trapped in work that no longer fits the things that they need.
Yeah. And I think the main takeaway there is a lot of people, when they hear what we say, don't be an artist or whatever. I mean, we don't say that, but sure, that's what they hear. And they're like, well, you can be an artist for work. And all you're telling us is that they have to go and be an artist on their free time, and they have to have a soul-sucking job in the daytime to then go do art, which is what they want to do, or whatever creativity they do, photography, music production, whatever it is, then they can only do that on their off time. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that they need to figure out their needs first. And one of the worst ways that they could figure out their needs is by putting their industry first. That is the worst way to do it because you are just trapped. You are absolutely trapped.
If they only need to make $25,000 a year and then they need to be an artist, well, wow, it's much easier now. They have to slam their expenses through the floor in order to do that. If they only need $25,000 a year and then they need to work in some sort of art or do their art, then it becomes much simpler because now they just need to make $25,000 a year as their first entry-level job, getting experience in their art or being self-employed. And that becomes much easier, but you have to start with what they need first, because if they need $100,000 a year because you live in San Francisco and they can't pay rent otherwise, and they need to be an artist, well, now those two things are fundamentally opposing forces and they can't be both of those things at the same time easily right as they graduate high school. And then downstream from that, buying them a college degree to be an artist is kicking the can down the road of those eventual consequences anyway. It's not actually going to help them. It's actively going to hurt them from being able to pursue their art because they need to shrink their expenses down. And in fact, buying degrees at that point too just kicks the can further down the road and makes it more difficult for them to slam their needs down as far as income and location, because a lot of times now they got to make a certain amount of money because they have to pay their student loans. And then oftentimes now they're constrained by location as well because they have to go somewhere where the income is high enough, but then their cost of living is also high. It's just a domino effect of how people end up trapped and feeling like they can't go anywhere in their late 20s, early 30s. And they just go, I'm not happy here. And it's the downstream effect of all of these choices that they make early on in the wrong way because they haven't thought about their degree free for.
So if you want to be guided through this process where you talk through your young adult needs and wants, you can get your copy of the Degree Free Way at degreefree.co/book.
Recently, I made a video talking about the Degree Free Way and about the needs and wants section of the book, where I said parents need to talk through these things with their children, especially when they're 16 to 20 years old, because there's going to be a lot of pivotal life decisions that get made during that time. And I think probably about 10 times I got a version of this comment from people saying, well, this is really useless because no teenagers know the answers to these questions. And all that did for me was make an extreme case and showcase the reason why buying a degree, if you can't answer those questions, buying a degree at that age is patently insane because you cannot get out of the loans you're going to take out to buy it. And if you can't answer the questions of what you need and want from your work other than industry, you shouldn't be buying a college degree in those things at that age. I just think there is probably no better case for that, because the equivalent thing, I think, and these people were just saying for their own children, oh, they can't answer those questions, so buying a degree is the best thing. That's crazy, because it's kind of like saying, I'm taking my child to test drive cars, but they've never driven a car before. And actually, they don't really need to test drive any cars. I'm just going to co-sign a loan on a Ferrari for them, because they don't know what kind of car they want to drive. They don't know if they want stick shift. They don't know if they want 4 seats. They don't know if they want an SUV or a minivan or a used car or a leased car. They don't know. Because of that, we're just going to co-sign the most expensive car that we can find, because that's essentially what they're saying. Because they don't know what kind of car they want to drive, we should just buy them whatever car they think is cool, maybe, even though they've never driven that car before. That's basically what's going on.
What brings to mind for me, if your young adult doesn't know any of the answers to this question, then they need to start thinking about the answers to this question. It's as simple as that. I mean, when they leave your house, eventually, this book is meant for 16 to 20-year-olds. If they're in the 16, 17 range, they're still within your household probably. But eventually, in a year, in 2 years, they're going to be out on their own, and maybe you're not going to force them out of the house or anything like that. But eventually, don't you want them out? Obviously, they're your children and you love them, but exactly what you said, for their own sake, you want them to be on their own. A big portion of being on their own is figuring out all of this stuff. So if your young adult doesn't know any of the answers to this question, then you need to know the answers to this question more than anybody else.
Yeah, help them out.
I'm just saying, if you don't know the answer to this question, your young adult needs to know the answers to these questions.
Or at least think about them.
Exactly. And they need to be asked them. If they don't already know the answers to these questions, then they need to be asked these questions so that they can answer them, so that they can start thinking about them, because these are the questions that you're going to have to deal with in real life. Every people that aren't under their parents' wing, they have to deal with these questions. And they're soon going to be out of the house and independent. And to do that, You have to answer these questions.
There's no wrong answers to these questions either, and there's no shame if your child doesn't know the answers, but you should still ask these questions. Someone should, and I believe it should be parents that ask these questions, because someone needs to prompt them to think over these things. It's okay if they don't know the answers, but at least get the wheels turning so they can kind of just think about, you know what do I want? What do I need from the work that I'm going to do?
The argument then is, okay, well, they don't know, or the answers that they give now are going to be different than the answers in 5 to 10 years.
Yes.
They're going to be different than the answers a year from now. They're going to be different than the answers 2 years from now. They're going to be different than the answers tomorrow, whatever it is. Okay, sure. Absolutely. Or maybe, I don't know. You might be right. That doesn't matter. They should still have answers. Some sort of goal is better than no goal at all. That's not always true. What I mean by that is, if you want to run a marathon, you probably shouldn't have a goal to sit down and veg out on the couch for 3 days straight. That shouldn't be your goal, because your goal is literally opposite.
Cross the finish line of the marathon.
Yeah, exactly. But some goal in these essential things that you need to have goals for. The biggest one is the income. Like, that's the biggest one.
Because you got to pay your bills.
It affects all of us. Unless you are super wealthy and that you're able to provide for them and you're going to do that for the rest of your life, then okay. And if you are super wealthy and you are going to provide for them for the rest of your life, you're not listening to this podcast.
They're fine. You don't have these problems, because these are the problems of people who need to earn enough to pay for their life.
But if you're regular people like you and I are, well, then you're not going to be able to do that for them. They need to figure this stuff out. And having some sort of goal about these essential things that need goals is better than not having any at all.
And what's so crazy is that was another comment that said, well, these things are definitely going to change. And I said, yes, they are going to change. Again, I can't think of a better argument for why buying them a college degree is not a good idea if those things are going to change, because that's insane. Again, why would the choice then be, let me make this irreversible purchase that they're going to be paying for the next 30 years if you know and just admitted those answers are not going to be the same? And the cognitive dissonance to not see that and not understand, hey, I'm telling you, be very careful with this bankruptcy exempt purchase. Ask your children what they need from work, and them saying, well, their answers are going to change. Okay, so don't sign any loans. I don't understand.
I just think they should have answers to the questions. And I'm not necessarily talking about college at all. I just think that they need to have answers to these essential questions.
Yeah, I agree. I could not agree more. Just blank period. Yes, absolutely.
They need to answer these questions. And then the college thing, I agree with what you're saying, down the road after they answer these questions. Like, if they don't know the answer to these questions, then you shouldn't buy a college degree, 100%. But they should answer these questions.
Yes, period.
100%.
So that brings us to, I believe, I have beat this horse to death. This is just something that has happened over the last few days where I just keep going, I can't believe these comments. But anyway, we've definitely addressed that. If your child is insert characteristic here, figure out what they need from their work. Those 4 criteria: schedule, income, location, and work environment.
Yeah. If you guys want to ask a specific question about your child, you can go to ask.degreefree.co. We're going to start answering questions on the podcast. When you go there, you're going to have to record a video of yourself asking the question so that we can see your face, one, but then also so that we can do what I'm about to do right now on the podcast, which is we're going to play it on the podcast. But I'm telling you right now, if you ask a question like, my child wants to get into zoology, how can my child get into zoology? And we're going to tell you to back all the way up and be like, do they really need to be in zoology first? That's the number one thing that we're going to ask you. And that's what we're going to back up to, like 100% all the time. That's what we're going to say. And for 99.9% of parents, pretty much 100%, they haven't done these types of exercises. They haven't thought about their needs and wants. They haven't thought about the income that they need to live. They haven't thought about the work schedule. They haven't thought about the location. They haven't thought about the work environment. They haven't put in those reps. I'm not saying they should have or anything like that. I'm just saying, like,
no one told them to.
Exactly. It's not your job or anything like that, which is why we created this book, so that you can help guide them up along that path, making these decisions. Now, you do end up at zoology again. Like, okay, that's fine. And then now you can figure out how to get there. But if you don't do all of those steps to get there, you did it wrong. And so what I was talking about playing clips here is I'm going to play a clip of me. I saw this clip and the team put this clip together and they posted it pretty recently, maybe a month or so ago, maybe a little bit more than that. It was of me years ago when we first started this podcast, and I am saying a whole bunch of things. I'll just play the clip now. The life that you're choosing by not going to college is not going to be easier. It's going to be much harder, but at least you get to direct your life. At least you can put in the work where you want to put in the work. You can spend your money and your time where you think that you should spend your money and your time. You can direct your own quote unquote education.
You are just loving the flashbacks. Now that you realize you can play yourself on your own podcast, it is like a monster has been unleashed. He's like, I have a clip of me from like 2 years ago. Let's roll the clip.
Well, if you've noticed, the last time that I did it and this time that I did it, I am only playing clips where I'm saying something erroneous, like just literally wrong, or I'm correcting myself.
It's picture-in-picture react videos. You're like, let me just react to this clip of myself so I can take a contrarian opinion to myself in the past.
So I agree with most of the things that I said there at the end, especially. But I disagree with the first part, which is being degree free is going to be a lot harder. And I remember I was having a conversation with somebody before, and it was after I had said that. And it was about 1.5 years into us doing degree free, because I was like at the very beginning. I'll tell you exactly the episode. That episode is episode 22, How to Tell Your Family You're Not Going to College. That's within the first 6 months of us doing this podcast. I will link it in the show notes, just like how I link everything else that we talk about, degreefree.co/podcast. So you can watch that whole episode, and I'll link the clip as well for our TikTok. So in the beginning, I obviously thought that it was harder to be degree free. What do I mean by harder? And this is just me thinking back. I must have thought by these young adults not getting college degrees that companies on the other end are going to say, no, I'm not going to hire you guys. You need to pay the piper to pass. You need to pay the piper to get over this line for me to even consider you, so on and so forth. And that's what I meant by life is going to be harder, because you're going to have to get turned down a lot more. And I just don't think that that's true anymore. Not only do I not think, obviously we've talked about that a lot, like the trends is actually the opposite way now.
And has been for the last 10 years. People don't realize that this started in 2014. This is not actually recent.
They don't care. But companies at large, we've talked about it many times before. Obviously, people listening to this are going to say, well, my company cares, whatever. Your company is a very small portion, whichever company that you're saying that about.
Let's assume that it's true. Sure. They don't hire anybody that's degree free. Sure. And you absolutely positively have asked everybody you know for sure.
Which is probably wrong too. But let's just say that you're right. Your company represents a very small fraction of the amount of jobs that are available in the US job market. And a lot of the companies that actually do make up the majority of the US job market, we're talking the biggest companies in the world, those companies don't care. And so if those companies don't care, that is the majority.
Yeah. And whatever your company does, doesn't matter.
Exactly. And for those people who it's directly affecting that doesn't have a college degree, like, well, these companies won't hire. And we've talked about this recently on a podcast episode. You know, it is very similar to somebody saying, I only hire 120-pound people. And it's just like, just go to another company that doesn't care about your body weight. Go somewhere that hires people that are all body weights. It's fine.
Whenever we talk about this too, I've noticed that the clips, when they get put on YouTube or TikTok, a lot of people just say, well, I've always gotten eliminated from my bachelor's degree. But I realize that a lot of people, they don't get jobs and they think that that's why. But they actually have no idea what the reason is that they didn't get the job. They think it's because they didn't have a degree on their resume. That's what they think, but they actually don't know that. It's not like you get the rejection reason a lot of the time. You just get a rejection period. So they're actually attributing them not getting jobs to the fact that they're degree free, when in fact it could be a variety of other factors. But they just assume that's the reason because we've been sold that that is the criteria to get hired when it is not. And so people are going, well, yeah, but I've gotten turned down from so many jobs because of a degree. And that's not actually why.
then there are the vocal minority that actually have been told, that small cohort of people, because they have been told and that was their life experience, they're able to say, I was told this, I was told that, because I don't have a degree, that's why I didn't get the job, directly to my face. And because they were told that, they can say that and they can be represented, they can be misrepresented as a larger portion that actually exists. When the majority of people, they just don't get calls back. And the people that don't get calls back, they're not going to say, well, I just don't get calls back. They're just going to be silent. And then you look at the people that are loud and you think in your mind that, oh, wow, that's a lot of people. But really, it's like 1 out of 1,000 people. And just the 999 other people, they're just remaining silent.
It's like the layoffs on LinkedIn where it was really loud of, oh no, the tech layoffs, but it was almost all HR people that got laid off. And they were extremely loud on LinkedIn because they're overrepresented, because they literally do their job on LinkedIn by posting and being present on LinkedIn. So when they got laid off, everybody knew about it. It's very similar to that, actually.
So there's that aspect of like why I thought it was harder, which is companies didn't hire degree-free people. And I thought it was possible for degree-free people to get work. It was just going to be a lot harder. You're going to have to do a bunch of other things and everything like that. I actually think it's pretty much flipped now. My opinion has pretty much flipped and saying for the vast majority of things, like assuming that you don't legally need a degree to get a license to get whatever job that you're thinking about. And we go through the legal requirement breakdown in the Degree-Free Way, how to help your 16 to 20-year-old build the life they want. We go through that at the very end. Once you have your young adults Degree-Free 3, it's 3 jobs that fit their needs and work for them, the 3 job options that fit their needs, then you go through and do the legal requirement breakdown and you figure out whether or not you have to buy a college degree or not. For all of those that go through the legal requirement breakdown, well, this career path doesn't actually legally require a degree. So then I'm just going to go a degree-free route to get there. I actually think that's much easier than going the college route. And the reason why is because the college route, you are spending 4 years of your time and effort and money into doing this thing that isn't doing the job, that isn't actively going to help you get work in that field. So for 2 years, you're taking gen ed courses, doing whatever, and then you're also paying the money to do that, spending the time, where for those 2 years of gen ed, you could have done entry level work in whatever field that is, or you could have been building your portfolio to then get entry level work. So that's still 2 years in. Even if you're not, like, let's just say marketing or something like that, that absolutely does not need a degree. For those first 2 years, let's say that you can't find a marketing associate job anywhere. That's fine. You could work fast food or whatever entry level job. You can be a stocker at Walmart or at your local retail store, getting paid $15 an hour, $10 an hour, whatever it is. And you can be working towards building your portfolio to then get into one of those roles. And that's for the first 2 years. Now you're arguing and say, okay, well, the last 2 years in your marketing program or whatever it is, that's where you really learn everything that you need to learn so that you can go and get one of these roles. Well, then by that time, the degree-free person who's been building their portfolio for the past 2 years, if you've been doing it for 2 years, you are going to get an entry-level role somewhere. Somebody is going to give you a chance, 100%. Let's say that they don't. Now you keep building your portfolio for another 2 years. And then at the end of 4 years, now you have 4 years of work that you've been doing and 4 years of experience. After 4 years, somebody is going to give you an entry-level role. Whereas now, if you look at the college person, that person isn't even out of college yet. They still have a year and a half, because on average, it takes 5.5 years to complete a 4-year degree. But let's just say that they do. Now, you guys are, quote, in the same place. And this is the false dichotomy that I've talked about before. And I link the episode where I go in depth in it, but I'm going to talk about it right here too. Whereas there's this false dichotomy that we've heard our entire lives. I know that I've heard it my entire life. You say, okay, who would you rather hire? Everything else being equal. Well, let's look at this resume and let's look at this resume. Everything's the same except this one has a college degree and this one doesn't. Which one would you rather hire? And in that situation, I don't know. I guess I'd hire the person with a college degree. I guess. I don't know. And that right there has sold more college degrees than almost any other tactic ever. All the marketing things that they do, like that simple brain exercise is just like, yeah, I guess so. You're not questioning the actual mental framework. You're not questioning the mental model. You're just in the mental model and you're just like, yeah, well, I mean, obviously we're going to choose the person with the college degree and I want to be that person, right? So I should go spend 5.5 years and $100,000 and go and do that. But in this scenario, I just pointed out to you where your young adult, your child has 4 years of experience and this person was in college, not getting experience, not doing the actual thing. In what world are those two resumes the same? They are not. And that is where it is a false dichotomy. And that's what I'm saying, like for degree-free people, for the people that listen to this podcast, that believe in the things that we believe in, that think that you can teach yourself, that you can learn things, and that you can gain experience, those two resumes are not the same. They're going to hire you. They're going to hire the person with experience.
This is the thing that I want to drive this home so clearly. You have 2 pieces of paper. You have 2 resumes. And what this looks like in real life is not they're equal and you're going to pick the one with the college degree. No, what you are going to get is you are going to get somebody who has been working since they were 16, is now 20 years old. Let's say they started working at Walmart or Home Depot when they were 16, and now they have 4 years of actual work experience. They have 2 years of full-time experience, and they're a shift lead at Walmart or at Home Depot. Let's just say stocking shelves. And this one over here has been in college for 4 years, has literally no work experience, has no clocking in of any kind. This person, your Home Depot, Walmart stocking lead, this is the one I'm going to hire every single time. And if realistically speaking, if people think about that, they know that this is the one employers are going to hire too, because this is less risk. Employers are all about churn. They're all about low risk. When I get kids in the launch program and I get a young adult who is, let's say 20 years old and has been working, they're always surprised too. And they'll tell me they've worked at McDonald's, they've worked at Walmart, they've worked at Home Depot, they've worked at HEB, and they've been there for 4 years. And I'm like, oh, you've been working for 4 years, sometimes 4.5 by the time I get them. And they say, yeah. And I'm like, that's amazing. I don't think you understand that you have 4 years of continuous work experience. And then I get a 20-year-old who has never had a job. And this one with a Google Analytics certification, job hired immediately. This one, I don't know, because they're not going to have any skills. It's going to take them much longer to get any proof to show an employer that they're not a risky hire, that they're not immediately going to leave. Because also college graduates, they just surveyed 800 employers. And those employers said that one of the reasons they're actively not hiring college graduates right now, when they're looking at these side-by-side resumes, is this one with actual work experience is not going to turn over, which you and I know. This one, 40% of employers said that they're actively not hiring college graduates because they have inflated salary expectations and they can't look them in the eye. This one, your Home Depot lead, hired immediately. And that's what's actually happening in the job market. That's what's actually happening in real life. And that's why, like you said, that dichotomy in real life does not play out like that. It plays out like I just showed you, which is you hire the one with work experience.
There are a few other things other than that I wanted to talk about too. And I wanted to talk about how degree free is easier than actually going to get a college degree, how like your life is going to be easier. The first one really is simple, and it is less debt, more money. So for like a lot of people, the debt doesn't matter. For some strange, odd reason, a lot of people it's just like it's monopoly money or whatever, and it's not actually your life, and it's not actually your child's life, and which is wild to me. But okay, that's fine. It's not here. You go into the student debt. I borrow money now and I don't have to pay until after I graduate. Like that's future Ryan's problem. Let's let that guy worry about it right now. Like this guy is just going to focus on what he's doing, focus on getting good grades and learning and whatever, and it's all going to pay off at the end. But I think it's literally life defining. Actually, I think that with less debt and with more money, your life trajectory is going to be better for a slew of reasons. But the biggest one is freedom. And just the burden that takes off of your shoulders and being like, okay, wow, I am free. I can do whatever it is that I want. And I can go ahead if I want to learn this industry, if I want to learn whatever it is like at 17, 18 years old, instead of signing a student loan, then I can take a job for $10 an hour and I can work, get absolutely abused. Sure, whatever. Working 60 hours a week, I need to get paid more, but like you don't have debt, so you don't have to get paid more.
You can get paid to learn. Your finances, and you and I talk about this, are going the absolute opposite way. You want to be a glass blower apprentice? Go do it. $9 an hour. Your life has totally changed now because you don't have to service student loan debt burden. That's exactly what we're talking about. You want to learn from a master artisan and they can't pay you more than $7 an hour? Who cares? You're learning, you're getting an education. And that's why separating college and education is so important too, because education is not the same as buying a college degree, but you can take a lower wage and you can move if you need to, move cities. I experienced that. I was able to move because I didn't have student loan debt. I didn't have to service a balance. And so I had that freedom.
I wanted to be clear. It's not like taking a lower wage. It's really just the more freedom to do whatever it is, including taking a lower wage.
For a calculated result.
Why would you take a lower wage than quote what you're worth? One, if you're taking that wage, you're not worth more. That's what you're worth because you agreed to do it.
If you're not, then don't agree to it.
But just from a freedom perspective, exactly what you were saying, you can move wherever. You're not chained to one place. You can move, you can take jobs, you can do other things. And that freedom can remain true for as long as you're not going into debt. Even if they don't do it right in the beginning when your child's 18 years old, at 20 years old, if they've been working a part-time job, if they've been working a full-time job, at whatever, quote, dead end job, they think it's dead end, you think it's dead end, whatever, which I know like a lot of people do think that, like, you can't do that forever. So, okay, that's fine. And so when that opportunity presents itself and they're like, well, you get paid $20 an hour at Costco to check people out, why are you going to go take a job $10 an hour to be this marketing associate at this company? Like, you're already making double. And well, that's kind of the whole reason why I didn't go to college, so that I could reduce the risk when these opportunities come. I don't have the burden of that debt over my head. And I can take these opportunities. I can seize them.
And you think of those entry-level types of jobs where you do take a pay cut in order to learn strategically as apprenticeships. That's how you think about them. You get paid to learn on someone else's dime. I was just talking to somebody about this and I said, hey, that's what you're looking for. What you're looking is for someone else to pay you to de-risk the situation for yourself so you can learn whatever skills, proof out that as a career path, and then you go deeper into it. That's how you do it. And that's how you stop that cycle of buying and then having to be boxed into those past life choices to pay for those student loans. It's such a problem.
The next thing that I want to talk about, these all kind of bleed into each other, but it's all kind of downstream from that freedom thing. The next thing I want to talk about is the flexibility and control that it gives your young adult to be degree free. And that is obviously flexible in being able to take all those work and things like that. But then also just the flexibility of not having to attend college and not having to do those general education courses or not having to do those courses at all. A lot of people would say, well, my child did AP courses or they did dual enrollment for the last 2 years of high school. So then they actually have their associates now. And so now it's not just gen ed courses, it's their actual 300 workload, and they only have to do 2 years. This still remains. You still have the flexibility, control over your own schedule, over your time, over your efforts, and not having to do the things that college people have to do. I have to do a report at this time. I have to go be at this class. I have to be at this lab, whatever. And you have more flexibility and control to be like, wait a minute, is that what I want my life to look like? Like, does that make sense? Today's Tuesday. Otherwise, I would have to be in whatever lab today, but it is Tuesday and I want to learn this principle.
So I can work on this project,
exactly,
which I'm going to have done in 3 months instead of 2.5 years.
Exactly. I'm going to go and do this instead and work on my portfolio today so that I can show my future employer.
And this could be anything from copywriting to coding too. Your English majors don't need to be in college. They need to be writing. Your coding majors don't need to be in college. They need to be learning. They need to be building projects, building apps, building websites, building backend stuff, building databases. That's what they need to be doing.
Being control over your schedule, over your time, and over what you're learning, you can tailor your learning. You say, okay, well, I want to be a developer. And it's like, well, that's huge. You could go get a CS degree, I guess. That's one option, an option that a lot of people take. Or you can figure out what roadmap do I need to follow to then become a developer. And then you have to figure out first, you're like, well, what is there's front end, there's back end. Do I want to be a full stack? What does that even mean? Do I want to be a Bitcoin developer? Do I want to be a machine learning developer? What are the different languages that I need to learn to get to that place? But with that flexibility control over your own schedule, you can then use that time to tailor your learning. For those young adults out there, they can use that time to be, okay, I need to learn front end. So I need to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Like I have to learn those things first. And then you're like, wait a minute, JavaScript, there's like a whole bunch of other languages around JavaScript that I could do backend stuff with too. Like, wait a minute, I need to do automation stuff. I better go learn Python, whatever.
I need to learn containerization. Let me go learn some Kubernetes and a little bit about Docker. You can just choose what you pick up and when you pick it up.
Exactly. And that goes for every single career out there, right? That goes for every single path out there. If you want to learn marketing and you're like, okay, well, I need to learn what side of marketing do I want to be on? Do I want to be on the creative side, or do I want to be more on the management side? Do I want to be on the ad side? What portion of it? And you're like, okay, well, let's test it all out. And that's part of the flexibility and control. Well, this week, let's try ads. You find somebody, a local shop or something like that, to be like, hey, do you mind if I run some Facebook ads for you? And then if they don't have any money, zero money at all, and you're like, yeah, maybe if you could give me a budget of like $100 a day or something like that, I can help you run some ads and see how we do. And okay, well, that's hard to find. Well, then just go find that person though. I mean, just go knock on some local business people's door.
If you ask 20 local business owners that question, and I mean, you go in, you talk to the person at the counter and say, oh, I'm not the owner. The owner's not here. Okay, well, ask for the owner's phone number. Come back the next day. Do that for a week. If you do that in 20 businesses, you'll find somebody that'll say yes to you.
Just tell them, like, I'm not getting paid. I just give me the $100 ad spend.
Or 50.
$50.
$20.
That ad spend goes straight to the ads. I'm not making any money. And that goes to the less debt, more money. That's the freedom. Everything kind of flows downstream from that. This works in everything that you want to do, every single thing that they want to do. Then the last thing is faster entry into the workforce. By building your portfolio, you can then enter the workforce quicker. For a lot of people that build projects, they'll buy that project, they just put their head down for 3 months, and then they go get hired at a job. And for a lot of people, they don't even need a portfolio. They just need to show that they can do it, depending on what the job is. They just need to, hey, I'm just going to keep knocking on your door until you say yes to me. They're like, well, I guess, let's just give this guy a job. And you get that job. Those are the 4 things that I think is actually easier if you go degree free. Less debt, more money, which equals more freedom. Downstream from all that freedom, that is flexibility control, especially over schedule, but that also bleeds into the tailored learning, that they can actually learn things and what they need to learn and what they need to know at that time, and then faster entry into the workforce. And so I was wrong all those years ago.
But you're right now.
Yeah, I think
That's
so.
what matters.
And that is my flashback number 2 on
many more to come
on the Degree Free podcast. And if you would like to get your question answered, you can go to ask.degreefree.co and you can ask your question there. For everybody that bought the Degree Free Way already, if you can do me a favor and review the book, if you go to dfwreviews.degreefree.co, that'd be great. And you can review us there. Once again, that's DFW, like Degree Free Way, dfwreviews.degreefree.co. And I'll leave it in the link of this podcast as well. And I'll leave it show notes so that you can find it there. Little peek behind the curtain. We're recording this on August 27th. And so this is going to come out, I think, in September 18th. So this is going to be a little bit delayed because we have a bunch of things coming up. And so we need to stack some episodes. It is insane that not once, but twice we have sold out of books.
Whoops.
Prior to launch. When you're listening to this, we've already launched. And the official launch date is September
Labor Day.
2nd, Labor Day. And we're not making very much money at all on these books currently priced. We're doing a lot of work with suppliers and everything like that in the background to try to bring our printing costs down, our fulfillment costs down and all that stuff. But we have to bring the price up. Like we have to charge more because we have to make some money off of this thing. And it was insane that we've sold out twice now. Well, for those listening, we're going to keep it at the pre-sale price, at the pre-order price until we get them back in stock, because we don't know when we're getting back in stock. And I ordered them
a while ago,
but we just sold out way quicker than we thought.
And they took us out of TikTok jail earlier than we thought as well, because they limit you to how many orders your shop can fulfill before it's mature. And they were just like, oh, you're mature. And we're like, oh, okay. And they're all gone.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, a great problem to have. And every one of those books that we are packing up and sending out, it has the opportunity to change the trajectory of these young adults' lives. But then the more that I've talked to the parents that have purchased the book and the more that I've thought about it as well, we're not just changing the trajectory of the young adult's life, but in many cases, we're also changing to the trajectory of their family's life as well. Because a lot of times the parents also get into cahoots with the debt.
Yeah, the co-signing of the loans. It's protecting people's retirements and their homes. And again, when I say generational impact, I'm not exaggerating. It's preventing the drain on families' resources.
Now, I'm not saying that like we have anything to do with it at all, actually, but for us to be able to provide a resource that helps them through that, and when they put in the work, it can have that amount of impact is awesome.
And every single one we pack to, it's so cool. I always read the names off in the location. I'm like, oh, this one's going to South Dakota. Oh, this one's going to Massachusetts. Oh, this one's going to Oklahoma. It's so cool. We've got every single state in the country they've gone to, which is unbelievable. I want to do a map and put all the dots of all the cities they've gone to because it's very cool.
That would be really, really cool if it didn't require probably like a lot of work.
Maybe we'll just print out a big map and we'll just put dots on it with a dry erase marker.
Yeah. But I can say definitively that we have absolutely shipped to every state.
Yeah, 100%.
In the country.
Vermont and New Hampshire were the last right in the door.
I mean, to sell thousands and thousands of copies before it was even released is
pretty crazy.
Is crazy.
This is such an aside, but it's also exposed us to the post office in a way that I've never been exposed to the post office. As you guys know, Zach, our guy at the processing center, and I just met Zach because we took a giant load of books over to the processing center and we filled up one of those big, I had never seen one before. How tall are they? Probably 10 feet. They're tall.
8 feet.
8 feet?
Yeah.
Okay. So 8 feet. It's pretty large. It's like taller than an NBA player, like freaking tall.
They're large. It's way over my head.
And there's a picture of it. Well, I'll post it on TikTok. Maybe we'll put it in the show notes or something. You take this big netting, this heavy like military grade woven netting, and you push it to each rung to increase the amount that the cart can hold. And we started with it halfway up and then we had to go to the third rung and they were like, oh shoot, put all the way up to put all these books in. Cause I kept going, oh, surely that's it. And then every time I turn around, there was more of them. I'm just watching every single state and every single family that one of those books is going to all over the country was kind of the coolest thing. Super cool. That's all. And then we asked Zach about how they scan things in at the post office, and we're getting a little lesson from Zach on how that works, which is cool.
It's very interesting. I had expected him and the team at that fulfillment center or that processing center to do more work. Now, I'm not saying they do less work. He just said that all they do at that processing center when they receive big loads like that, and I'm not sure if this is at every one, but all they did was they just scanned it in. I was like, oh, so you scan it in and then your scanner tells you which bin to put it in. They're like, we're in Texas right now. And so this one's going to Vermont. So that one means, so you put it over here because that loads going to the East Coast. And then this one's going to California. That one's going to the West Coast.
But no, they get sorted somewhere else.
Yeah. And he was like, no, I just scan it from here. And then I put it into another cart. And then I put that cart onto the truck. And I was like, really? This cart to another cart, put it in the truck?
They scan it sometimes, or maybe the next place after that.
And now I need to see the next place because...
Do they sort it there? Is it like the Polar Express with the conveyor belts where they just...
I'm guessing it must be, right? I'm guessing it must be. And if anybody knows this, and everybody works at USPS or even like a UPS, but I'm more curious about USPS because we're using USPS. Give us a comment in YouTube or Spotify or anything like that. Like, let us know. But I'm pretty sure I am envisioning exactly what you're envisioning, which is a Polar Express or, you know, how your luggage gets sorted and it's completely automated is what I'm guessing. When it gets scanned, it's not so much like it goes into this bucket or that bucket. Because now that I think about it, that's probably a lot of human error, actually. Probably a lot of human error. Like if it did, like you scan it and then on the thing it says bucket A and then you sort it. How many times is it going to go to bucket B?
But I don't know.
And if this bucket B is going to the West Coast, then you're screwed right from the beginning.
I did think that as he was describing that to us, I just went, wow, this is kind of crazy that all of this just runs. You just show up and give them packages and then they somehow get where they're supposed to go. It's kind of crazy, actually.
And he was stoked because nobody asked him about his job. But that whole conversation with him definitely had like how it's made vibes.
Yeah, it did. I was like, they do what now?
Yeah.
Really? Huh. Okay. It did.
I'm like super interested.
Love how it's made.
I'm super interested to just see the rest of it.
Yeah.
I just need to put myself in that bin and see what happens.
Yeah. And just see where you go down the Polar Express.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. I really, really appreciate everybody for hanging in with us. The Degree Free Way, if you want to get your own copy, you can go to degreefree.co/book. If you want to ask us any questions and get answered here on the podcast, go to ask.degreefree.co. And for the reviews, dfwreviews.degreefree.co.
Let us know if we were better because our chairs were not medieval torture devices.
Yeah, exactly. Until next week, guys. Aloha.